Here are the top stories for today, November 19, 2020. Malacañang says it is not surprised by Vice President Leni Robredo's denial of the trending hashtag. More relief goods are transported in Cagayan Valley. Recovered documents reveal the extortion activities and recruitment of minors of the CPP-NPA. And let us take a look at Cebu's new tourism products. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte signed Executive Order number 120 creating a Build Back Better Task Force or post-disaster rehabilitation and recovery efforts in areas affected by successive typhoons. Under EO 120, the task force will expedite and lead the preparation, implementation, and monitoring of a post-disaster rehabilitation and recovery program for typhoon-affected areas. It will also be in charge of ensuring availability and adequacy of key lifelines such as basic needs, medical services, electricity, water, telecommunications, and transportation that can be mobilized immediately after the typhoon. Environment Secretary Roy Simatu will be the chair of the task force, while Public Works Secretary Mark Villar will be co-chair. The task force must submit to the President a quarterly report on the implementation of the order and publish an annual report on its accomplishment, including projects and programs implemented and budgets utilized. All government agencies, including government-owned and controlled corporations and government financial institutions, as well as state universities and colleges, are directed and LGUs are enjoined to provide necessary support and assistance to the task force. Another batch of relief goods and items arrived in Cagayan. According to Philippine Air Force spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Aristides Galang, assorted relief goods arrived in the municipality of Bagao, Peña Blanca, Enrile, Solana, Igig, Alcala, Amulong, and Gataran in Cagayan via C-295. The relief items consist of boxes of bottled water, sacks of assorted goods, and used clothes. Galang said they would continue to transport relief goods and other needed supplies to Cagayan residents until the situation stabilizes. Meanwhile, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, said the assistance provided for the victims of typhoons Rolly and Ulysses has reached 169 billion pesos. About 2 billion pesos worth of agricultural projects are being laid out in the province of Cagayan. According to the Department of Agriculture Regional Director Narciso Edilio, the fund covers inbred and hybrid rice seeds, fertilizer, hybrid corn and assorted vegetable seeds, seedling trays, soilless and potting media, poultry, goat, and duck livelihood programs, and food and cash assistance. The interventions will be distributed to the farmer beneficiaries in time for the start of dry planting season in coordination with local government units. Local governments pooled their resources to aid calamity-stricken provinces. Details from Marita Moaje.
The Negros Occidental Provincial Government is set to donate financial assistance of 1 million pesos each to the 4 provinces in Luzon devastated by typhoons Rolly and Ulysses. The recipients are Albay and Catanduanes in Bicol Region and Cagayan and Isabela in Cagayan Valley. Meanwhile, the Leyte Provincial Government will be sending 1 million pesos cash assistance to typhoon-battered Catanduanes. Governor Leopoldo Dominic Petilla said they decided that it is better to send cash instead of goods so they can purchase what they need. In Western Visayas, the Office of the Civil Defense is preparing to ship around 12,000 kilograms of assorted goods and 50 sacks of rice donations to augment the ongoing relief operations for victims in the Bicol region. In Caliboclan, the local Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office said that they will be sending 200,000 pesos each for the provinces of Cagayan and Isabela and 100,000 pesos for the city of Marikina. Guimaras and Iloilo provinces also expressed their intent to send financial assistance for the victims of flood in the National Capital Region, Cagayan and Isabela. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Marita Muaje.
The House Committee on Agriculture and Food will conduct an investigation next week on the massive flooding that submerged many areas in the provinces of Cagayan and Isabela during the onslaught of Typhoon Ulysses. Panel Chair Quezon Representative Mark Enverga said the House would have wanted the hearings done sooner so lawmakers could come up with solutions and legislation if needed to mitigate and prevent more flooding in the future. Speaker Lord Alan Velasco, along with Majority Leader Ferdinand Martin Romualdez and Minority Leader Joseph Stephen Paduano, has called for a congressional probe into what triggered the widespread flooding in Cagayan Valley region. Bagong Henerasyon Representative Bernadette Herrera also filed a resolution seeking inquiry into what she branded as untimely and irresponsible opening of floodgates of dams and watersheds in Luzon during the onslaught of Typhoon Ulysses. For Bulacan Governor Daniel Fernando, the vast flooding experienced by some provinces, including Bulacan, the changing climate caused by human activities, and disregard for the environment is the real cause of the widespread flooding. The governor expressed the belief that it is high time to have a thorough discussion of local climate change mitigation and adaptation. He also called on his fellow public servants to take action and stop finger-pointing as to the cause of disasters, because ensuring that citizens' welfare should be the most important part of government service. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAG-ASA, and the National Irrigation Administration maintains that the release of water from the dam is for the safety of the people. Are Filipinos well informed of incoming typhoons and ways to stay safe from them? Let's find out in today's Boses ng Masa.
Yes naman po. I mean, kung ang information na sinasabi is yung pangkalahatan, yes naman po, I get to be informed with yung mga warnings. Tingin ko fair naman because although I don't watch TV anymore, yung news, yung mga information or mga babala hinggil sa bagyo or kalamidad, nakukuha ko naman sa social media because very handy naman yon, especially sa nature ng trabaho ko. Ayun, doon ko nakukuha. So, yun, basically I get to be informed what to do, kung ano yung mga paparating na bagyo or mga storm signals. Yun, so to answer the question, yes po.
Panawagan po ng gobyerno, asking po naman na sumasapat naman po iyon. Kaya lang ang problema, ang nagiging problema natin is yung nagiging katigasan ng tao. So bilang isang mamamayan, matuto po tayong sumunod sa nangyayari doon matuto po tayong sumunod doon sa mga palatuntunan o ibinibigay na babala ng government para po hindi na magkaroon pa ng mga problema.
Sapat po siya kasi tulad na halimbawa na lang natin sa Marikina, yung pinaka tinamaan ng Bagyo Ulysses. Kasi marami ako nakikita na mabilis ang action ng lalo ng BFP, NDRRMC. Yan. Isa pa yan, malaking tulong yung nagagawa nila ngayon, itulad ng dati, mga nakaraan pa. Kaya masasabi ko lang, okay ang ano nila, okay ang response nila. Maganda.
Pabulo ko dahil kahit pa paano kompleto naman yung binibigay ng gobyerno sa mga tao. Mga nasasalanta ng mga ngayon, bagyo, kalamidad. Siyempre sa hirap din ang buhay ngayon. Kahit pa paano, maganda yung nabibigay ng gobyerno sa atin.
Signal at mahayag na binibigay ng PD4 tungkol po sa kalikasan. Ito po ay kailangan subaybayan ko po sa unang sinyal ng bagyo. Kaya nga po kami nakasubaybay sa PTB4 Kahit po nasa school, palagi po nakabukas ang aming TV roon upang kami pa magkaroon ng tamang informasyon na napapanahon.
Still to come, Malacañang says it is not surprised by Vice President Leni Robredo's denial. And about 40,000 displaced workers get emergency employment in Bicol. More on this when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Alamin kung paano ang tamang pagsusuot ng surgical mask. Una, hawakan ang mask sa strap at siguruhing natatakpan nito ang inyong bibig at ilong. Tandaan, ang may kulay na bahagi ng mask ang dapat nasa labas. Ito lamang ang tamang paraan ng pagsuot nito. Ihulma ang nose piece o maliit na metallic strip ayon sa hugis ng inyong ilong. Iwasan ang paghawak sa inyong ilong at bibig. Kung marumi na ang mask, hubarin ito gamit ang strap at itapon ito sa isang basurahan. Siguruhin ang maayos na paghuhugas ng kamay gamit ang sabon at tubig. Ang surgical mask ay dapat gamitin ng mga pasyenteng may sakit sa baga o mga taong mayroong ubo, sipon at lagnat, mga nag-aalaga sa mga may sakit, at mga healthcare at frontline workers. Maaari ring magsuot nito kung kayo ay pupunta sa matataong lugar. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. Malacañang clarified that President Rodrigo Duterte may have somehow confused University of the Philippines as the proponent of the planned academic strike instead of Ateneo de Manila University. This as the president threatened to cut off funding for UP if their students refuse to attend their classes. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, who used to teach in UP Diliman, said Duterte's message should have been addressed to Ateneo students. He said UP students did not join Ateneo's so-called academic strike. Meanwhile, Education Undersecretary Tonicito Umali said the department would not issue an academic cease as no country has suspended its reopening of classes. Umali also noted that universities and colleges have not been strict with deadlines. Malacañang explained President Rodrigo Duterte's recent tirade over what seemed to be efforts by Vice President Leni Robredo and her supporters to grab credit for the government's typhoon relief efforts. Here is our report.
Malacañang said President Rodrigo Duterte lost his temper with Vice President Leni Robredo because she made it appear that she was the one in charge of typhoon relief efforts. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said Duterte must have had his reasons for his tirade since Robredo made calls to the armed forces of the Philippines, which is not part of her command responsibility. Last Tuesday, Duterte accused Robredo of grandstanding in the height of Typhoon Ulysses and being dishonest about not knowing that he was attending the 37th ASEAN Summit. Roque said Duterte was also irked with Robredo acting like she was the one calling the shots on relief efforts through her post on her official Twitter account. Meanwhile, Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo apologized to Robredo for accusing her of boarding a military aircraft to deliver relief goods in typhoon-hit Catanduanes. Panelo, however, insisted that he was simply fed incorrect information. He said while Robredo was free to use military planes for relief efforts, she should not have made it appear like she was the only official working. Panelo lamented at how Robredo failed to help correct perception that Duterte was sleeping on the job when he was actually working as well. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said they will leave it to the Vice President whether she would continue denying involvement in the hashtag that has gone trending. Roque said President Rodrigo Duterte is irked with the hashtag, especially since the president was attending to his duties at the 37th ASEAN Summit aside from disaster efforts. He said Robredo had always used every opportunity, including the COVID-19 pandemic and disasters, to lambast or find fault at the president. For the military's part, AFP spokesperson Marine Major General Edgard Arevalo said there were no requests or information of distress calls received from Robredo. However, the AFP has no problems in providing the Vice President with any of its assets, provided that there is an initial coordination with the military. The AFP earlier said that it has mobilized close to 2,000 disaster frontliners and equipment to assist in the massive relief and rehabilitation operations for communities affected by Ulysses. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Leyte Cabagano.
The Department of Labor and Employment has provided emergency employment to at least 40,000 workers who have been displaced due to the 3 typhoons that consecutively hit Bicol region. DOLE, under the Tupad program, allocated 200 million pesos for Albay, Catanduanes, Camarines Sur, Camarines Norte, Masbate, and Sorsogon. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III has ordered to fast-track the profiling and payment of the worker beneficiaries across Bicol. Each worker will receive 5,000 pesos as wages. DOLE Regional Director Joel Gonzalez said the work ranges from repairing their homes, cleaning their surroundings, parks, and schools. Gonzalez also asked local officials to conduct profiling thoroughly to ensure that the deserving and those from less accessible areas can benefit from the program. In the private sector, at least 139 affected workers also received cash aid worth 5,000 pesos each from the COVID-19 Adjustment Measure Program under Bayanihan Act 2. The Albay Public Safety and Emergency Management Office, or APSEMO, has called for periodic and post-typhoon dredging of rivers, channels, and gullies at the footslope of Mayon Volcano. APSEMO Chief Dr. Cedric Daep said this is to prevent lahar and other volcanic debris from hitting populated communities during prolonged heavy rains. He added that without dredging, the river channels or Mayon gullies will overflow and will instead be redirected towards residential or agricultural areas. He said APSEMO will recommend a regular budget for dredging or otherwise quarry operations on lahar channels. The APSEMO, together with the Philippine Information Agency, Albay, conducted a media briefing on Tuesday to give newsmen a deeper understanding of technical terms contained in disaster advisories. Cagayan de Oro City has recorded 10 new COVID-19 cases on Wednesday, the second time in a row where the figures were lower than the daily average of 20 to 40 cases since September. Of the 10 cases, 3 were classified as local transmission, 4 who contracted the virus from a previous case, and 3 belong to locally stranded individuals and authorized personnel outside of residence. Acting City Health Office Chief Dr. Lorraine Neri said, as of Tuesday evening, the city also recorded 30 recoveries, up from 21 the previous day. Mayor Oscar Moreno noted that the last time the city recorded less than 10 local COVID-19 cases was on September 7, when the city averaged 7 cases daily. Meanwhile, the Department of Health reports that a total of 7,296 COVID-19 patients in Eastern Visayas have recovered from the illness. The number represents 91% of the region's 8,017 confirmed cases since March. DOH Eastern Visayas Head Exuperia Sabalberino cited the support of the local government units, stakeholders, and other private partners for helping lower the number of cases in the region. To date, the region has 643 active cases, with the addition of 99 new infections on Tuesday night. Sabalberino said recent cases were acquired from social events. In our business news, budget carrier AirAsia Philippines announced the resumption of its flights between Manila and Bohol beginning December 1. From December 1 to 15, the carrier would be servicing these routes 4 times weekly every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Daily flights between the 2 destinations will be offered from December 16 to December 31. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque recently announced that Bohol would reopen its doors to tourists beginning November 15. do-it-yourself tours are still prohibited. Meanwhile, Philippine Airlines plan to resume its Bohol flights on November 22nd. PAL Manila-Tagbilaran Manila service will be offered twice daily. The flag carrier will announce the reopening of the Bohol route for regular commercial service. Up next, recovered documents reveal the extortion activities and recruitment of minors of the CPP-NPA. And let us take a look at Cebu's new tourism products. These and more when the PNA Newsroom returns.
Alamin ang tamang paraan ng pag-ubo upang mapigilan ang paglaganap ng Coronavirus Disease 2019. Ugaliing magdala ng panyo o tissue. Kung uubo o babahing, takpan ang buong ilong at bibig gamit ang panyo o tissue. Kung walang dalang panyo o tissue, maaaring gamitin ang braso na pantakip. Kung nakararamdam na kailangan umubo o bumahing, agad na dumistansya sa mga tao sa paligid. Huwag dumura kung saan-saan, gumamit ng tissue at itapon sa basurahan. Ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at paggamit ng alcohol o hand sanitizer upang mamatay ang mikrobyo. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Government troops in Carigara, Leyte recovered documents from the house of a suspected member of the New People's Army. Soldiers recovered the documents from the house of suspected rebels Edencio and his wife Nora Jonaldo. The documents posted by the Army's 802nd Infantry Brigade on Wednesday show a handwritten report of an NPA member listing their sources of financial support. These include a major resort hotel and two big construction firms based in Ormoc City, Leyte. Also listed are the internal revenue allotments of some remote villages in Carigara, Leyte, and solicitation to 6 mayors. The documents also confirm the rebels' goals to recruit 15 to 17-year-old members from remote communities in Leyte. Soldiers also rescued the couple's 7 children, including 5 minors, and recovered war material from the house. The military called on local officials to be more active in countering communist terrorism in their locality. At least 183 former combatants of the New People's Army in the Caraga region have received over 16.9 million pesos in financial aid through the Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program, or ECLIP. The cash grant was released on various dates starting June 11 this year. The Department of Interior and Local Government in Caraga said the bulk of the financial aids were the form of firearms, remuneration, and livelihood assistance. The beneficiaries came from Surigao del Sur, Butuan City, Agusan del Norte, and Surigao del Norte. Meanwhile, at least 90 NPA combatants have surrendered this year in parts of Sarangani Province and the neighboring areas. Lieutenant Colonel Ronaldo Valdez, commanding officer of the Army's 73rd Infantry Battalion, said the surrenderers wanted to avail of the government's reintegration program and lead normal lives with their families. Valdez said the returnees are mostly indigenous peoples lured into joining the NPA by promises of certain benefits that were never realized. The Army official also attributed the series of surrenders to the local task force's efforts to end the local communist armed conflict, which have been delivering various projects and services to communities. In Agusan del Norte, more than 500 residents benefit from the outreach program as the province celebrates the first-year anniversary of its campaign called Agusan Up. Jennifer Peña Gaetano has the story.
The province of Agusan del Norte recently held its relief distribution as part of its first-year celebration of Agusan Up. It is a campaign that aims to transform Agusan del Norte into an agri-forest province and economic processing zone of Caraga by 2027. More than 500 residents received free gift packs consisting of canned goods, hygiene kits, and vitamin supplements. According to Governor Dale Corvera, insurgency is one of the problems that hinders the development in the province as such, and measures are already in place to address it. He said he is hoping that the budget of the National Task Force to End Local Communists Armed Conflict or NTF-ELCAC will be approved to fund the development programs for each barangays.
Isip Governor of the Province of Agusan del Norte, mag-aawhag ko sa atong mga senador nga aprubahan kini nga budget sa NTF-ELCAC kay para na po dako nig ikatabang sa atong mga kabarangayan.
Meanwhile, Lieutenant Colonel Julius Cesar Paulo of the 23rd Infantry Battalion assures that they are doing everything to end insurgency and maintain peace and order in the area.
Ang atong gobyerno karon is andam mo serbisyo sa atong katawhan ug mas ma-improve pag yun ang atong peace and order diri sa barangay Olave.
During the relief distribution, Barangay Chairman Jerry Daal Escobilla of Olave Buenavista thanked the officials, saying the relief is a big help for them.
Dako kayo na ko ning pagpasalamat nga kami naabtan ani nga programa sa Agusan Up. Dako na kayo ning matabang sa akong mga katawhan diri sa Luir Olave. Sila na serbisyuhan.
For the PNA Newsroom, I am Jennifer Peña Gaetano of the Philippine Information Agency, Caraga.
In sports, Manila Chooks has been declared to participate in squad for the FIBA 3x3 World Tour Doha Masters after everyone in the group tested negative for COVID-19. Joshua Munzon, Alvin Pasaol, Troy Reich, and Santi Santillan got the confirmation of their RT-PCR test results at 7 p.m. Manila time. The team remained in isolation until Wednesday. The FIBA 3x3 World Tour Doha Masters happening this weekend will be played through a semi-bubble set up at the Al Garafa Sports Complex. The winner will receive $40,000. The Cebu City Tourism Commission has bared its plans to offer new tourism products to travelers visiting the provincial capital. CCTC Chairperson Jocelyn Pesquera said they will be developing coastal tours in the city, which hopes to become a new tourist draw as the industry eventually recovers next year. Further developing mountain tours will also be prioritized to offer tourists more outdoor experiences. Pesquera also revealed that they plan to expand tour routes that would explore the city's historical connections to the American and Japanese era. Meanwhile, CCTC Commissioner Butch Karungay said the creative community will be closely working with the tourism industry on how they can further collaborate. Karungay said the city has to take advantage of its designation as a UNESCO Creative City to further its tourism appeal. Here's another look at today's biggest stories. Malacañang says it is not surprised by Vice President Leni Robredo's denial of the trending hashtag. More relief goods are transported in Cagayan Valley. Recovered documents reveal the extortion activities and recruitment of minors of the CPP-NPA. And let us take a look at Cebu's new tourism products. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check more news content, visit our webpage or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day and stay safe, everyone.